Hi. Okay, so what we did in the last class is we created our foldable Kirigami, and then we created margins on either side that are a quarter of an inch wide. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make dots every half inch down the center, and then we're going to use those to help us create this kind of pattern, and then we're going to cut it and unfold into this beautiful um, kirigami. And I will show you how. I'm not going to reveal it yet because I don't want to give away the surprise. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you're going to line up the ruler with the 0 mark. Now remember the 0 mark on my ruler. Sorry about the announcement. That on my ruler, the 0 mark is not the edge of my ruler right here. It's this first hatch mark right there. I have it marked with a 0 right there, and I actually drew that mark with my own pencil. Okay, so I'm going to use a blue marker. You should use a pencil in case you make a mistake. I'm going to be brave. And I'm using a blue marker so you can see my marks a little bit better. So we're just going to try to put the dots approximately down the center of the paper, like so. But you can see mine aren't exactly in the middle. They're kind of mostly in the middle. I'm not really too concerned about how close to the middle they are. They shouldn't be on the edge. So line up the top of your paper with the 0 mark. And then you're going to mark every half inch. Okay, so every half inch doesn't mean at a half and 1.5 and 2.5. It means every 8/16. So you're going to make a mark at a half, at 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and so on. So make a mark at a half. And notice I just used the tip of my pencil. I'm not like drawing like this. I'm just making a dot, which is a lot easier to do with a marker than it is with a pencil. So 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. Try to keep your ruler from moving and the paper from moving see how I'm holding my ruler down with firm pressure in more than one location. So as I push against the ruler and the paper, neither one is sliding around. If you make a mistake with your marks, just make sure that you erase. If you make light marks to begin with, they are easier to erase. So there we have our dots every half inch. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you're going to see these lines that I made on this example are actually 1/4 of an inch apart. We're going to do ours a 1/2 an inch apart, but you can see I've created this alternating pattern. I want you to watch really closely while I do this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put my camera a little bit lower so you can see what I'm doing before you attempt it. Okay, so we want our pieces, we want to cut this in such a way that when we're done cutting, all of the pieces are still connected together, kind of like a snowflake or paper balls. We don't want them to let go of each other. We don't ever want to cut through the whole end of any one of these so that when we unfold it all, everything's still connected. So just watch this. We're going to start drawing the line on the left-hand side. The way you know it's the left-hand side is you can make an L with your forefinger and your thumb, and that is the left edge of the paper. So I'm just going to put an L here. That's the left. This is the right. Okay. And we're going to start on the left edge. We're going to draw all the way, and we're going to stop exactly on the margin. So you can see, and I didn't quite do that right, so because my dot is just below that, you should try to make your line more perfect than mine, and your line should go directly across through that dot. And you want to make sure also that the top of your top edge of your paper is aligned with your ruler. You can draw a line through the dot that's really crooked, but try to keep it careful and straight. If you keep your paper straight on the table and you keep your ruler lined up with your table, it can be a little bit easier. Then you're going to go down to the next dot and you're going to start on the right edge. You're going to draw a line through that dot to the margin, and you're going to stop at the margin. And then you're going to move down. Make sure my ruler is held straight all the way across to stop at the margin. So right here, we are not going to draw that line through there. Just going to put a little X just as a reminder. Do not draw here, do not cut here. And we're going to alternate. We're going to start on the right side. So you get the general idea, and you're just going to continue with this pattern all the way down to the bottom. Now, you're going to make sure you did a really careful job measuring. Take advantage of that. Make sure your lines go through the dots. Keep your ruler as level as possible. And definitely use a pencil. I'm using a marker so you can see what I'm doing a little bit more effectively, but if I make a mistake, I kind of have to start all over again because I can't erase. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Okay, so I continued making those alternating lines all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so some of you might be looking at this and saying, wow, Mrs. Kaplan's is so much neater than mine. I want you to keep in mind, I've made more than 80 of these over the past few years. So I have a lot of practice. I've made examples. I've made samples for kids to take home. I've made starter versions of it for kids who are struggling. So I have a lot of practice doing this. If you don't like the way yours came out, you can always do it again. That's why I'm making these videos. There's the part 1 of the video, this is part 2. You can always make it again if you wanna make one that's more perfect, and I encourage you to do so. I'm not expecting perfection, but remember, the goal here is to get better and better and better at measuring, drawing straight lines like margins, using our ruler, to help us as a construction tool, to help us construct something that we think is really cool, and then the end product will come out so much better, if it's done well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the cutting, and you're going to use the lines. You're not going to use the margin lines as cut marks. You're just going to use these horizontal lines as your cut guides. And I have a much easier time if I open my scissors really, really wide and I put the paper right at where the fulcrum of the scissors is, and it gives me a lot more control. And then I cut here. I'll bring it up to I cut through all the layers of the paper to the other side. Now I'm going to stop exactly at that margin. Okay, I'm not going to stop before the margin, and I'm not going to go a little further than the margin. I'm going to stop exactly at the margin. You'll get a lot better results if you're very careful with your cutting. And then, so we cut from the edge to the margin on this side, and this next line starts over here. The cut starts on the opposite side. So we're going to use that opposite side. Stop there. Turn over. Cut. Turn over. Cut. Okay, and then I'm going to resume. I'm going to keep doing all those cuts all the way down to the bottom. But what I'm going to do, it's starting to get really interesting. Okay, you can start to see like, oh wow, something really weird is going to happen here when we're done with it. Okay, and I'm just going to pause here and finish my cuts. You should continue your cuts also. Okay, so now you can see I have done all the cuts all the way on either side. Okay. Now, here's the thing is you can't unfold it just by pulling. You're going to rip it or crease it in a place that doesn't work. So I'm going to show you very carefully how to unfold. So you're going to tip it on its edge, and you're going to try to find the side that has the least number of like open leaves. Like this has like 1, 2, 3. This has 2. So I'm going to start by unfolding right here. So I'm going to unfold it like a book. I just had to very carefully peel it open. Is that right? Okay. Try not to rip, be very careful. And once you've got it completely unfolded, you're going to just kind of flatten it with your hands. And then we're going to flip this over. And we still have a little bit of unfolding to do because remember, we made 4 folds in this, so we folded it into a W, so we need to unfold all those pieces. Try to like undo that crease right there. And then undo this one by rubbing it. This is called burnishing. Unfold this right here. So you should go ahead and use this technique to unfold yours as well. Rewind and play parts of the video over again if you need to. So what I'm doing a little bit is burnishing the creases, and what that means is I'm just kind of like undoing the creases a little. Okay, so now you're kind of back to your flat sheet of paper, except now it's all sliced up. And this is a really fun thing to do. You're just going to pull just like that. Okay, now if you can see this piece right here is twisting a little bit. So I can help it unfold in the correct, like if you pull like this, it looks a little weird there. It just means that I'm pulling one side in one direction, the other side in the other, and it's just twisting. So you can just help it along. So if one part of it looks strange and an uneven pattern, that's because it's twisted and you need to just turn it a little. Yeah, there we go. There's your Kirigami. If you want to make this much longer, you can actually make another one and glue the end pieces together. Or what you can do is make an additional one, and instead of 1/2 inch cuts, right? These cuts were 1/2 inch apart. You can actually do another one that's 1/4 of an inch. Everything's 1/4 of an inch apart here. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is take a picture of your Kirigami. Preferably, I'd like maybe 1 or 2 pictures. You could do 1 picture closed and 1 picture stretched out. If you need somebody else to take the picture of it all stretched out, have them take a picture of that, and then you're going to turn in that picture on Google Classroom. Okay. If you don't like the way yours came out, try again. Okay. The first time it takes a while to do. The second time it takes less time because you know what you're doing, and it'll come out even better with practice. Okay. All right. Thanks.